Hello ladies and gentlemen to my little video. Normally I don't do videos in English, but I thought this might be interesting for a lot of people out there, so I decided to make an exception and to make this actually in English. So this is not really going to be a theory video. It will be more that I show you what I found while playing Ruin today, or at least the most interesting stuff I found, and what I think that could mean for the lore. So this is not a full-fledged theory, but it's just what I think is implicated by the stuff that I found. And this video will consist of two parts. The first part being I show you some stuff in my recording of my playthrough with low bitrate because I messed up when I recorded it. And afterwards I'm going to switch in-game and show you something interesting with the collectibles that I have found so far. Okay, but let's start right here. The first and most important thing, which ending of Security Breach is canon? And I think I can answer this 100% after playing Ruin, and I think it's also the most obvious thing that you can conclude for the lore, because it's definitely not the Afton ending, because first, the elevator is still intact, but in Security Breach it was said that it can only go down one time and will not go back up again. Here it works perfectly fine, so Gregory hasn't used it. This is further proven by the fact that you actually arrive at Afton's lair, I will call it like that, later on. Here I actually go down in search for the last fast coin for Candy Cadet, which I will talk about in a second. Yeah, so here I'm looking for some secrets. Actually, I'm going to Candy Cadet first, I think, so I skip this. Okay, now we're in Afton's room. This is where he is during the boss fight. And something that we can clearly see, or right now not so clearly because of the poor video quality, but on the left we see the charging station in which Burntrap/Afton is. And you see that its glass is perfectly black, you cannot look inside. And it's not opened. So I think that this definitely means that he is still in there and never left. So the whole boss fight didn't happen at all. He was not swallowed by the blob or anything like that. Didn't happen. You can find other recharge stations during the game which are not completely broken, and in every one you can look inside. And yeah, so for me that clearly means that he's still in there. I even take a look, you cannot look inside, it's not opened. Burntrap is still in there. That also means that he definitely cannot be the Mimic. I mean, that should be clear after Ruin, because the Mimic actually is released by Cassie a few levels below this one, and he was trapped there by the security system. So, and he looks completely different to Burntrap, so the Mimic is definitely not Burntrap. it could be theoretically another version of the mimic, but I don't think so. The, in quotation marks, evil mimic is clearly supposed to be the one you release in the basement of the basement. Maybe the endoskeletons are mimics too, I don't know. Could be wrong. But what I know for sure is that Burn Trap is not the same as the mimic, and I don't think they are both mimics. So that means that either Afton is still alive, and somehow escaped from Ultimate Custom Night, or that he's dead, but his body is controlled by Glitch Trap. That is the other possibility. Yes. But it's definitely not the mimic, and also the F ending did not happen because he's still in there. So what ending did happen? It must be some ending of the ones where you don't come down here, so basically every other ending. And you can actually say for sure which one it is when we skip to the Feather Blast part. Yeah, a little bit further. A bit more. I think it's around here. Oh, that's a little too far. So let's go a little back. Again, this is this is not edited or anything. This video is just for fun. Okay, this is the part that I mean. We find Freddy. And now he gets up.
Are you okay? Be functional.
He has no head. He lies in Feather Blast. There's only one ending where that happens. Okay. Yeah, yes. Only one ending. There are two endings where he's in Feather Blast, but only one ending where he doesn't have his head anymore. So it's definitely the Princess Quest ending is canon. At least if Ruin is canon, which I suppose because everything else would be weird. Yes, but that definitely shows the Princess Quest is the canon ending and not the Afton ending. Okay. Then I'm actually going to switch to another part of this video in the beginning where you pick up the Fez wrench. And actually I will say something about the mimic after that again. But I show you this right now because then I don't have to cut that much. And yeah, just remember what the dialogue is right now.
A Faz wrench. It's just like my dad's.
Okay. What I want you to remember from this is that it confirms that Cassie's father works for Fazbear Entertainment because she says he has such a tool that is used by the Fazbear technicians. Just remember that for a second, and I'm going to switch over to another video. Okay, welcome back. This is the other video that's interesting. It's the full Candy Cadet dialogue, which I cut together. And yeah, I just let it play and then I say what I have to say about it.
I am a candy cadet. Come get your candy here. I have candy all day, every day. Candy. Now I will tell you a story about a mother and her little boy who lived alone in a cabin in the dark woods. There was a monster in the woods, but the mother caught it and kept it locked in the basement. The monster always made scary noises at night, but the mother would tell the boy not to worry because it could never get out. Then she would sing the boy a lullaby to sleep. One day, the monster stopped calling and instead listened and learned the lullaby. The next day when Mother went out to find food, the monster sang the lullaby from the basement. The little boy heard the lullaby and opened the door.
Okay, so it's basically a new story, which you unlock by feeding him 4 fast coins. And yeah, the story is a mother lives with her child. I don't actually know, was it a daughter or a son? Da-da-dum. It's actually a son. And yeah, so the monster is very obviously the mimic, because it's wild and aggressive. That's how it is described in the books. And then it copies the lullaby. Okay, so far so good, but I found some parts interesting because it says that the mother and her son live in a forest.
About a mother and her little boy who lived alone in a cabin in the dark woods.
And I immediately had to think about Midnight Motorist because the house in Midnight Motorist is in the woods. And yes, we play Orange Guy, but the child that ran away in Midnight Motorist is a son, it's a boy, which would fit to this story right here. And I personally think that the person that sits on the couch and watches TV is the mother. And it doesn't fit perfectly, but there are some interesting connections which I just want to mention. For example, the one that it's a house in the woods, or yeah, the 2 footsteps in front of the window could be the mimic then. That could implicate that, for example. And that the boy got the mimic imitated someone he knew or something he knew, and that's why he got out. That could be what this story tries to tell, in my opinion. And now I'm going to switch over to the games. And yes. Oh, and what just came into my mind, it says that the mother captured the monster and imprisoned it in the basement. That is clearly a parallel to this game, where the mimic is captured in the basement. But in which basement? Because it is the basement of the pizzeria from Five Nights at Freddy's 6, which is definitely confirmed by Candy Cadet being here. And the current opinion is that the FNaF 6 pizzeria is also Freddy Fazbear's diner, because the idea was because there is the security breach room in security, the sister location room in security breach, and Freddy Fazbear's diner was connected to the sister location bunker. Yes, that was the idea. And the sister location bunker was also connected to the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 house, which we can see in the blueprints. So actually, if the mimic was in the basement and the sister location thing connects these two, then the basement of Freddy Fazbear's diner is basically the same as the basement of the house of this family, which would be William Afton's family. And yeah, then it could mean many things. The Five Nights at Freddy's 4 house is not in the woods, for example. But then it could mean that the mimic got released by someone living in that house from the sister location bunker, from the basement. So it's definitely a connection to the Aftons. As I said, this is not a theory video, it's just me making conclusions from what I found in the game, and it's not scripted at all or anything. I think that's obvious. But I'm just saying what comes into my mind. And for example, this one right now with the sister location bunker being the basement of the house and Freddy Fazbear's diner slash Five Nights at Freddy's 6 pizzeria, that just came into my mind while I record this. Okay, I think I'm going to stop talking about this Candy Cadet story and now move on to the game itself. Okay, I just loaded an arbitrary chapter just so that I can show you the inventory. Okay. First thing that I noticed. Okay, no. I'm going to do it in another order. Because I already showed you the dialogue, which confirms that Cassie's father works for Fazbear Entertainment. Wait, I'm going to switch these to English so you can actually understand it. Okay. It says a Fazbear technician's Faz Ranch, so her father is a Fazbear technician. Then we have these collectibles here, and for the Bonnie lunchbox, it says Bonnie was my dad's favorite. I only know one person in the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise where it is known that he likes Bonnie, and that would be William Afton, right? I am actually not sure if we know which is the favorite animatronic of Henry. Maybe it's Bonnie as well, I don't know. But for William Afton, it is true for sure. And what's also interesting is that it says this for the Bonnie lunchbox, which is from Freddy and Friends on Tour, which is from 1983. Which would also match if it's William Afton, because that would mean that Cassie is actually Elizabeth, which would be around the age she should be in 1983, right? Or at least, yeah, she's probably already dead in 1983. But the thing is that if Cassie is her, then she was rebuilt as a robot. So she could also be alive. Yeah, in 1983. I just find this interesting because this clearly hands to William Afton. Because he worked for Fazbear Entertainment, and she talked in the past when she said that her father owned a Faz ranch. That hints towards he's dead or gone, slash, an undead zombie. Well, she doesn't know that probably. Together with this is basically very interesting, I think. Yeah, that's Spring Bonnie. Okay. And what's also interesting is that for Plush Baby, it says what's she doing here? You also can find a room where the plush babies from the VR game are. And there's even golden plush baby, which says discontinued. So, the German translation was that it isn't produced anymore. But if it just says discontinued, I think you could also interpret it in another way. If you find the correct context for it. That's definitely interesting. Because for all these ones, it just says funny basic things. And here it just says discontinued. So there is something that with Baby, and Baby is Elizabeth. So I actually think it's more likely that if Cassie is either Charlie or Elizabeth, which is very likely due to the color green being very prominent for her, and the color green is, yeah, stands for Charlie or Elizabeth, that this hints towards Cassie is Elizabeth and not Charlie, in case she's not a new character. Then it would, if she's not a new character, then I think this strongly suggests she's Elizabeth. And what's also interesting is that it says for Chica that it doesn't look quite real, but I think that's just a joke because it's an AR thing. And I think apart from that, there's only one more interesting thing which I noticed. The real collectibles, I didn't found all of them. These are confirmed to be drawn by Gregory or the mimic who mimics Gregory drawing it. And it shows the different endings from Security Breach, even the ending which is not in comic style, in Security Breach itself. So this is the Afton ending, which is not canon. I haven't found a drawing for the Princess Quest ending right now, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. So I found one. Yeah, these basically, they are the same ending, I think. I think these are both the escape ending. This is the fire escape ending. This is the garage ending, and this is the Afton ending. So that means that if they are drawn by Gregory or someone else, that this whole thing is at first it's not canon then, if it's drawn. So that's why it would be interesting if the Princess Quest ending is drawn as well. And second, it could be a hint, in theory, towards Security Breach not happening in reality. So what I mean is that it does happen, of course, and we play as Gregory, but what he sees is not right. Maybe it could be that the Pizzaplex is already broken when they arrive there. Not when they arrive, but when Gregory is there. Because what I actually noticed with the Vanny mask is that it is capable of totally changing the environment. I think I'm going to show you that right now. Okay. So this is in the media player because I'm actually uploading this right now. Okay, so this is in the Vanny/Gregory hideout in the daycare. And you see it's totally messed up, ruined everything. But then when you put on the Vanny mask, this happens. Everything looks in perfect condition suddenly. It is at different places, yet for you it's solid, so it can totally change the look. So the pizza place could have looked for Gregory like it's fine, but could also already be broken. Because for me it sounded in the beginning when Cassie says Gregory called her, she should go to the old Pizzaplex, etc. That sounded to me like they have been in the ruined Pizzaplex already, and they go there regularly or something like that. To me, it sounded like that. Maybe I'm wrong. Actually, I think that Security Breach is actually what it looks like and not ruined. I just wanted to point out that with that technology, it could be possible that it was already ruined. And then Vanessa would again be the security guard of an abandoned building, just like Mike in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and in the movie that comes out this year. Could be. And something else that is also in this part is if you go in here, in the part where the Gregory hideout is most likely, and you put on your Vanny mask. Then on that wall, these notes appear. And yeah, it's bugged for some reason. Okay, now it works. Okay, now you can see them. The one on the top left says to buy butter, 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 which is clearly a reference to the exotic butters. I don't know what this is. I actually can't really read this one. It seems to be some letters. Maybe one of you can decipher it. These are obviously footsteps, which, what I just noticed, look exactly like not exactly, but the shape with the 3 toes is what the footprints in Midnight Motorist look like. And these are just general paintings, Superstar, Freddy, Candy. But this one is also important. Because this one shows the hill in all the security breach endings. And you can only see it with the Benny mask on. Just wanted to point that out as well. And I think there's one more thing to talk about. And these are the 3 currently discovered, maybe there are more, endings of the Ruin DLC. Because there's the one where you not die, I think you survive actually, where you fall down the elevator shaft because the supposedly right and real Gregory lets the elevator crash together with Vanessa because he says we can't risk that the mimic follows us. So I guess the other person would be the freed Vanessa. So they crash down the elevator to trap the mimic. And then Roxy says something to Cassie after the credits, which implies that Cassie survived, actually. And Roxy also knows Cassie, which we learn earlier in the Ruin DLC by her voice lines. So maybe if Cassie survived that crash, that could be a hint that she's actually a robot. But I think we need more information for that, and I fear that it will come through the books and not through Help Wanted 2, which would be actually more cool. Or the best thing would be if there are more secrets in Ruin that explain them. But I think it will be through the books again. Just like the whole Mimic itself. And yes. And then there's the ending where you put on the Vanny mask in front of the Fredbear, who's holding an ice. The cupboard Fredbear who's holding an ice. In the part where you escape from the Mimic in the basement. And then you're suddenly in this surreal view of the ending hill where Gregory, Vanessa, and Helpy are enjoying some ice cream, but they look like cardboard figures. And also the whole screen has these bars, just like the camera vision. It has happy music, that ending, but I actually think it's a bad ending. Actually, the worst ending. Because for me it means that Glitch Trap or someone else or something else fully took control over Cassie. I think I said Cassidy in this video sometimes, but I always meant Cassie, of course. So I think that's actually the worst ending of them all, because it's clearly fake and not a real and happy ending. And the third ending, I haven't gotten it myself yet, but I know how to get it. And I saw videos of people who got it. It's actually an ending where you crush the mimic and he's dead. And that's also the only ending where he wears the mascot outfit that he also wears in the books as a disguise. And then he gets killed, basically. So that's definitely the best ending. But I don't think it's the true ending. Because they used so many books to build up the mimic, and then I don't think that he's dead in the first DLC where he appeared. So I think the common ending, which most people got first try, will be canon. But of course, I could be wrong. And then what I have to say in the end right now is something important. All the people that say the Tales from the Pizza Plaques is 100% canon in-game and happened exactly like that in the game timeline. That in some comment sections today, I had the feeling that they felt like Ruin confirms that. But actually, to me, it's quite clear after playing Ruin that Tales from the Pizzaplex cannot happen 100% in-game timeline. Because where is any sign of the Tiger Rock? There's no sign in-game. There is no sign of the giant tree, apart from the tree symbol in Princess Quest and a plastic tree stump at the beginning of Ruin. But no giant tree is there. You can say to various things metaphorically that they are that tree. For example, the blob with its tentacles, or the virtual hub where you can control everything in Ruin in theory. That you can say that that is the tree, or inside the tree. But there is not a physically giant tree, which would need to be the case if the books are 100% true. And yes, the games play after the books. But there's not a single sign in the games. And if it's supposed to be there, then we should be able to see it in Ruin, or at least a hint that it was there. But there's nothing. Also, if the books were 100% true, then Edwin would have built the mimic, and his son would have died. But actually, in the story that Candy Cadet tells in this DLC, it is a mother and her son, and not a father and his son. Which doesn't have to mean anything because the Candy Cadet stories are often metaphorically. But if it was meant to be true again, they should have used father instead of mother as a hint towards that to say, yes, the books are 100% canon. But they didn't do that. And also, in the Candy Cadet story, the child gets killed by the mimic and not by an accident. Okay, that were just some thoughts from me. And yes, I know you hear the puppet music box in the beginning, but that's also the sound that the mini music man makes, so that doesn't need to be a hint to Charlie. Actually, in Ruin, everything hands towards Elizabeth, as I already said, and William still being alive, and the mimic being a separate new enemy. I think the entity in the Vanny mask is Glitch Trap, but it could also be something else because it looks completely different apart from that it's a bunny. But I don't think it's Glamrock Bunny. And I think that's basically everything I have to say right now. Yeah, it was pretty unorganized and just very spontaneously. And yeah, maybe you found something interesting and yeah, share your opinions in the comments and feel free to ask me anything. And then I would say until next time, if you speak German, you can watch my other videos. If not, then they are not interesting for you. But thanks for watching this one. See you soon. Bye.